Hey folks, what's up? How you doing today? Cisco back here on the channel. Um, Hope everything's all right with you. You know, today I'm going to do something a little different. Uh, let's talk about sports. Um, One thing that I've always had a opinion on, but never really commented on, at least publicly anyway, is there's a lot. If you've been watching college football here the past 2, 3 weeks, and this is every year. This isn't particular to this year. Um, you hear you hear names of coaches, midway through the season who the media or anybody else for that matter, they people put coaches on a hot seat due to underperformance. And I wanted to make a video on that because I think it has gone too far. You know, like today, this isn't new, like I said, but I'm hearing Bill Belichick, he may be on his way out at North Carolina. Personally, I'm not a fan of his. Nothing against the guy. I never met him, don't know him. But why would you get rid of somebody and you're only 5 games into the season? I understand 2 and 3. Yeah, nobody wants to be 2 and 3, but I'm like, this is insane. At the very least, wouldn't you let a coach finish out the season, then make a judgment? Um, it's like, yeah, I get this suspicion that a lot of this fandom, from people out there in society, they want immediate gratification and they want sustained gratification. The majority of people cannot pull that off. Okay, I don't give a damn how great you are. All right. Um, Everybody's not perfect. you know, Success, it takes a while to climb that ladder when you're starting at the bottom. Um, like I say, I can't teach you about coaching. Never been a coach before, but I wonder about where have we gone in sports in America, and I'm talking about at the collegiate level, I'm talking about at the professional level, regardless of the sport. So, uh, baseball, basketball, football. Even though I don't watch hockey that much, but I still do watch it. Whatever your sport, whatever your favorite sport is, whatever sport you follow. Bill Belichick ain't the only one. You got Clemson, you got Dabo Swinney. Although the Boo Birds have calmed down somewhat because he did win last week up there in Chapel Hill, you know, his sustained success over, and he's been there at Clemson, what, 20 years if you go back to when he was a coordinator. Um, it was actually Tommy Bowden that brought him in as a coordinator. Then once Bowden got fired, he was promoted to the coaching position. Um, I didn't like that move at first, as far as the firing of Tommy Bowden, because Tommy Bowden, he's another example. Like I said, I'm giving you examples. I know some of these names are way, back 20 something years ago, but it's just something that's been under my skin. Tommy Bowden, he was a good coach. I'm one of those guys. I can teach you about Clemson football. I can tell you about Clemson football. Some of you young guys, some of you young people younger than me, Don't be fooled by what you hear on the radio waves sometimes. Clemson used to be a backwater program, all right, way back in the 90s. Run of the mill, 6-win team, 7-win team. Um, Went through a series of coaches. At best, back in the 90s, Clemson would get to the Peach Bowl, Gator Bowl. That was the extent of their program. Came in Tommy Bowden. I remember those years. You had all those Bowden Bowls, and Clemson, you know, they became better, had a better football program. It wasn't the best, but it was better than what I've seen back in the 90s. And he certainly built, in my opinion, um, he certainly built the foundation for Clemson football in my lifetime. All right. But, he was fired for really some of the same stuff that um, that Swinney is going through today. Although, I mean, you compare the records, yeah, they're different. Tommy Bowden never won a national championship, never even competed for it, never got close to one. Yes, I get it, but I can speak to this program because, hey, I grew up here. Um, some of these guys you see on national TV, they can't really talk to it because, hey, they didn't grow up here. I can say it because, hey, I'm in the area. So, you know, he did, like I say, Tommy Bowden, to me, he was a good coach, B minus kind of coach. But he certainly laid the foundation for uh, Swinney to come in. He built off of that. Hey, he does have 2 rings. I give him that. Has been for what I heard. He was in 4 national championship games. He has 2 victories in the national championship game. So he has succeeded. Now I'll admit that. But the similarity between Bowden and Sweeney is that people always, and they ain't the only two, but they look at what you've done lately or what you haven't done over the course of your career. A lot of people out there, they don't look at the entire picture. They only want to they want to micro analyze. They want to look at this piece right here, this piece right here, this piece right here, but they don't want to look at the entire puzzle. So it's unfortunate. Like I say, I like Bowden, but he this well long ago. But people are looking at Swinney the same way. It's like, what have you done? These past few years. Reluctance to some people say it's the reluctance to adopt the NIL structure. You know, that could be true, but at the same time, it's like you can't not. You have to look at the man's work, the man's body of work. The same thing with now, like I say, Belichick. He hasn't been at UNC only a few months, so you can't really do that at the collegiate level. But I think people they take this they take this, you know, analyzing of coaches a little. They gone to the extreme with it. I mean, yeah, like I saw the other day, I forgot the name of the guy. I forgot what college he was coaching at, but his team was 4-1 this football season, and for some odd reason, he's on the hot seat. Why in the hell would somebody be on the hot seat and they're 4-1 this season? It's people take their sport seriously. I get it, but at the same time, it's like this is you're going over you're going over the mountain with this stuff. I mean, if you don't like the guy, you don't like the guy. Like I say, I don't like Belichick. I don't know the man personally. I'm not talking about him as a person, but just as his football career. Not a big fan of him, but he does. Hey, officially, hey, his record stands what it is. All right, at the professional level. But I mean, this to me, this has to stop. All right, it's. I was listening to a coach years ago, and he said, "Hey, you know what coaches ought to do, whether they're at the collegiate level or at the professional level. Really, a coach should stay at one place for about 10 years, and after 10 years, they should go, no matter where they're at, no matter how much success they've had. Because the thing is, it's like when you have one bad season, one bad game, everybody's gonna have a bad game, but when you have one season, when you have one bad season, let's say you don't make the playoffs, yada yada yada, your fan base has been spoiled so much that they're gonna turn against you. It is what it is, folks. But I do believe that. I really believe that coaches ought to just stay at one place for no more than 10 years. And after 10 years, they should instantly just go. Just go. You know, that's unfortunately that's part of life. I mean, Bobby Bowden, he went through that down in Tallahassee his last few years there. You know, where people have short memory. I don't try to be that way personally, but that's the way it is. So, you know, but is it gonna change? No, people ain't gonna change over this. They should. They really should. I mean, you got some good level-headed people out there like me. I'm not the only one now for sure. I ain't gonna say that. But I think people ought to, take a break. Go out there, smell the roses. Do what I do sometimes. Go to a waterfall. Go to a park. You know, get that negative energy out of you. It's in the end, it's sports. I mean, there's more at stake in life than sports. But you know, it, I don't think people should. I think people, generally speaking, not everybody, generally speaking, I think people are wrong for taking, taking, their sports this seriously. You know, I forgot the guy's name. That guy like back in Cleveland, who goes to Cleveland Browns, the black guy. I forgot his name. He went 336-1. Okay, yeah, that guy ought to be fired. I mean, that's obvious. But even a few years ago, I was hearing rumblings of, especially in the media, should Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers be on his way out because hey, people, you know, watch your TV. Some of these guys, like I say, they just microanalyze what have you done in the last 5 years, last 10 years. Hey, you may have a winning record. You may have many division titles. You may have many playoff appearances. But in the end, it's like people are so obsessed with championships, they forget, hey, it's a team game, it's a team sport. You can't put everything on a coach, all right? Um, I mean, only thing a coach can do is coach his guys, but the guys got to go out on the field or on the court or on the ice and perform. A coach can only do so much, but everybody ain't gonna see it that way. So it's a shame, but it is what it is, folks. So well, hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good afternoon, folks. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off.